Hi, and welcome back to Inspired Alchemy with Lizzie. This is episode 55, and I'm going to do things still. I'm going to keep on the spooky side of alchemy and things like that. And this is kind of a trick or treat and transformation kind of vibe, I guess. I know that things are heavy right now. I know some people are moving out of the heaviness and they're embracing change and seasons and all of that. And I also have episodes regarding that. So that's why I'm trying to keep these a little bit lighter, but still have a little bit of information. I told a spooky story on my last episode, and so I kind of wanted to keep in the theme with monsters and Halloween in general, spooky season. So, Halloween, you would think, what does that have to do with alchemy? Actually, a lot. Shadows, masks, costumes, transformation, magic, all of it involves alchemy or is related to alchemy in some way. So I kind of want to go through something kind of fun. And we did this briefly in the Inspired Alchemy Collective. I want to go over the different archetypes of Halloween. So ghosts, skeletons, all of that kind of thing. And playfully discuss what they could represent within alchemy. Now, this is just a playful thing. A this is entertainment. And you could take from it what you will. So obviously when you think of a ghost, you think of a spirit that has unfinished business. And so this shadow aspect of the ghost could represent unresolved memories, grief, experiences that still haunt us, that are echoes of the past that we haven't integrated yet. So I think the ghost, and some of us can really resonate with the ghost. It's sometimes we feel invisible. Sometimes we feel like there are things hidden. The ghost will ask us to acknowledge and complete what's not finished. So, cycles that you keep repeating, things that you've buried, just whatever is unfinished for you. We have to face our own hauntings with compassion and allow ourselves to transform from that ghost into something more. We have to allow the ghost to guide us forward. It's kind of like when you go into a paranormal investigation and you're like, oh, what happened to you, right? And you're talking to the spirit and or the energy, whatever you want to say, you're talking to it, and it's like, go this way or go this way or whatever it is, right? And it'll lead you to the next clue of what happened to them. It happens in the movies, in the paranormal investigation shows, all of that kind of stuff. So that's a fun little way to think about the ghost, is our hidden, unfinished things, patterns that we need to stop, things that we've shoved down for way too long that we need to pull out, stuff like that. The monster is pretty much the rejected part of ourself. So any kind of monster. I will go into a couple of the other monsters. Oh man, I don't know how long this is going to take me. So if I sound a little stuffy, allergies. I don't know why allergies here in Florida have been so bad for so many people I know right now, and me included. So let's think Stranger Things, right? We can even think about that. When Eleven thinks that she's a monster, that she's the monster, right? She's rejecting those parts of herself. She's seeing those things, even though, and I won't give spoilers, okay? But she thinks that she's a monster. But then she realizes that she's not. So we reject these parts of ourselves, and we've labeled them as ugly, as grotesque, as something we don't want, We think that these parts of ourselves are unlovable, unacceptable, dirty, whatever it is. There are pieces that we have exiled from us, when in actuality, when we look at these parts of ourselves, kind of like I talked about in other episodes, how can we use them to bring positivity, or how can we use them in a positive way? So, like, let's say there's a negative cycle that we are repeating and repeating and repeating. That part of us might feel like a monster, but how can we use that cycle to positively impact our life once we have the awareness of it? We exile those parts of ourself and our soul that we're scared to allow others to see, even if it's not negative or bad. And I say that in quotation marks because things are neither good nor bad, they just are. Obviously, there are some exceptions, but what we might see as bad, it really might not be. And so the monster is actually not our enemy. It's a part that is unacknowledged and begging to be integrated. And alchemy turns that grotesqueness that I talked about into gold by seeing the monster and its misunderstood power, kind of like I just explained. So now we're going to step into the werewolf, which is the uncontrolled, primal, raw part of who we are. It's those primal instincts, sometimes those emotions that we label as bad. So, anger, desire, hunger, passion, all of those things that we can label as bad because they seem too much, that we feel uncontrolled and shameful about them. That's the beast within us. And while some people see these things as bad, passion, desire, the hunger to keep going, even anger can be good if it is, what's the word I want to use? What I'm trying to say is it's not the emotion that's bad, it's what you do with that emotion. So we can take these things and we can use them to propel us forward into growth and life and all of these different aspects of who we are becoming. And when we integrate it, it doesn't mean we have to kill it. We don't need a silver bullet. We don't need any of these things to kill that beast. How can we use those and control it to help us grow? How can we use and honor the cycles of this part of ourselves? Sometimes in women, the more primal instinct will come out around her kids, or maybe it's during certain parts of her cycle. What we have to realize is that part of us, that raw part of us, it's we're connected to the wild within, as part of earth, as part of just human, being human. And how can we channel that in a sacred way? Seeing it and changing perspective is sometimes very important. So we talk about having inner demons, and that's pretty much that inner self saboteur. Did I say that right? Our inner self sabotaging voice. It's that temptation of and destructive patterns that I keep talking about, and the voices that try to pull us away from our higher path, those parts of us that try to run when we shouldn't and try to hold on when we shouldn't, that tell us to keep completing these patterns and cycles because that is what is safe. But is it really? Sometimes it's externalized, but most of the time, this is all internal stuff that's going on. Like it's all internal. And you're constantly fighting your demons within. Our demons are are powerful because they show us where we're still not free, where we're still bound to our fear, our shame, our addiction. And again, alchemy is not about banishing the demon, but confronting it, learning its true name. Why are you completing these cycles? Why are you still holding on to self sabotaging behavior? And then transmuting it into something powerful. So taking something seemingly ugly and transmuting it, just like we do, that's what we do in alchemy. Masks, we all wear them. It depends on who we're talking to, what we're doing, where we're at, what kind of setting we're in, but we all wear them. Every single one of us has worn a mask. And while they keep us safe sometimes, it's obviously like the ghost, parts of us that we want to hide. We don't want people to see it. It's too much. It's too this. It's too that. These parts of me are ugly. I'm going to hide it. I don't know how to express what I want to express, so I'm going to put a mask on it. When we decide to take that mask off, we're freeing ourselves and showing the world who we are, which can be really scary. But it can also be very, very powerful. When we allow the mask to drop, we give ourselves permission to be who we are meant to be. And we will drop more than one mask in our lives. Most of us wear multiple. But this is another part of where freedom comes in. And talking about masks and stripping ourselves down, the skeleton is the bare bones of truth. Who are we when everything is stripped away? Who are you when all that remains is your skeleton? What truths are there? It reminds us of our mortality, how fragile life can be, and we're stripped of everything, so nothing can be hidden anymore. Skeletons symbolize the essential truth beneath the mask. When we honor our bare bones of our lives, we can find structure and allow ourselves new growth. We're all familiar with the witch, but the witch is where your intuitive power lies. Throughout history, witches have been deemed as bad, when most of them were healers. They were the village medicine women and men. They were the people that the village came to when something would go wrong. But unfortunately, they were also blamed for a lot of things that could not be explained because they were the psychics. They were the intuitives. They were the people connected to the land. And unfortunately, history has not been kind to them. Now, people can use and abuse their power, but most of the time, witches were seen as bad when they were just trying to help. Witches are not evil, and they represent the, again, intuition and wisdom and sovereignty. The shadow is how we fear or suppress our own inner knowing. So many of us go throughout our life deciding we don't want to trust our intuition, that we can't trust ourselves, that we have to trust everything outside of ourselves. And that is the furthest from the truth. Everyone has the innate ability to have a knowing, but it's like a muscle. You have to work it to understand it. Sometimes we feel like we're working on our intuition, but we're actually working out of fear. And that's why this work is so important, because we have to start to understand where we're operating from intuition and where we're operating from another emotion or feeling, such as fear. The witch asks you to reclaim your power, to stop fearing your inner wisdom, to know that you have power just as you are, that you know deep inside of you things. And I'll just leave it at that. The witch will help us transform using energy and, just like an alchemist, potions. Even if those potions are different things that we use to go further in life, like emotional intelligence and personal development and energy work, whatever it is. I'm going to go through a couple more quickly because I think that they are fun. So, vampires, obviously, what does a vampire do? It drains energy, it drains your blood, right? It's showing us where we are not holding boundaries, where we're allowing us ourselves to be drained, and also where we could be draining other people. Because this is a two-way street here. And it's about reclaiming your energy, becoming sovereign, setting boundaries. And it's time to start looking at where you are not keeping boundaries and where you are allowing people to drain you and where you might be draining them. Zombies. The Walking Dead, not to be confused with the show. Okay? I don't want any kind of copyright here. I'm not talking about that. Zombies are when we're on autopilot. We're just continuing on autopilot. We're disassociating, disconnecting, old cycles becoming numb. And you're just going through life and through the motions without any kind of feeling. You can choose to change, though. You can choose presence, being present over the habit. I'm not saying that it's easy, because it's not, but you can reframe that mind to kind of change up the cycle and choose something different. And when you start to do this, you start to become more aware and you start to wake up. There are some very interesting movies from the past where people have been zombified, not like The Living Dead or whatever, where spells were used against them, they were zombified, and they had to kind of awaken to come back to who they are. I don't remember the names. I saw them a very long time ago. I've got three more for you. Spiders. I'm so sorry if that's a trigger for anybody, but spiders. They're the weavers, right? You could feel like you're stuck in their web. You could feel trapped, manipulated, all of these things. But there's always a way out. I've even seen flies get out of spider webs. And in doing that, they reclaim their power. You tell yourself new stories. You weave new ways of being. You weave your new reality. The jack-o'-lantern. This one also has to do a little bit with masks, but emptiness, because when you carve out a jack-o'-lantern, what are you doing? You're taking all of its guts from the inside. It could also be fear of vulnerability. But what do we put inside the jack o' lantern? A light. We can illuminate ourselves, illuminate the parts of you that have been hidden for so long, illuminate those shadows. And when you do, it becomes this, depending on what kind of face you put on the jack o' lantern, fun or cute. Some people put scary faces. It's fine. It's Halloween. But you illuminate those parts of yourself that you have started to carve out. And in doing that, you become aware of, again, those cycles and the wounds that you have and the trauma and all of those things. And when we shine a light on them, we can alchemize. Then graveyards. They're resting places, but they're also a place for new beginnings. One of my favorite things to do is actually go and walk cemeteries. I love walking cemeteries. Cemeteries are so quiet. And I've walked some really beautiful ones in New Orleans and in St. Augustine and in the Northeast, all of that stuff. And they're all very different. I know people can be really scared of endings. There's a huge resistance to letting go. But endings feed new beginnings. And as we are phoenixes and we burn down over and over again, it's the same for the graveyards. Death in alchemy is not necessarily actual death. It's the death of self over and over again as you burn down and you're reborn. And this is transformation. Oh, I had one more. And I thought I did it, but I guess I didn't. But if I did, and I'm doing it again, I'm sorry. So, the mummy, we're wrapped up in the past. The mummies represent stagnancy. Old stories we've preserved, wrapped so tightly that we can't move forward. There's just no way. It's like all dusty in there, and you're like, that the parts bound by tradition, fear, false protection, everything that everybody has said is the way things should be. So it's where we're not moving or flowing. The mummy is showing us that those old cycles of what used to protect us, what used to preserve us, might actually be suffocating us now. And we need to be aware of that. Now, the alchemy for the mummy is taking all of the wrappings off and freeing yourself from the bandages of the past and starting to move forward, reclaiming your breath and allowing flow to happen. You're going to allow all that dust to blow away and you're just going to stand anew. It's funny, this one's a little bit longer, so I'm going to have to move on to uh, the next. I have to record another one. So I've never actually had to use more than one slide and their slides the way that I record to do this. So hopefully there's not a weird transition. I will try to fix it if there is, but I'm trying to figure this out as I go. So I haven't had one that's longer than 25 minutes before. And so here we go. So another thing that I wanted to talk about are lessons in life. We can either see them as tricks or we can see them as treats. It's us being handed unexpected things and deciding what we're going to do with it. Hard lessons, unexpected challenges. How are we going to alchemize those? Because we can. We can alchemize them into happiness and joy. I'm not saying, again, that it's going to be easy. but it is possible. The tricks, and I don't, sometimes they are a little tricky, but those unexpected things are the things that crack us open. And I'm not even talking about unexpected challenges being bad. It could be a person that you meet, a new friend that cause you to change perspectives on things. They help you see a different way of life, which ultimately changes you. The work that I do with my polyvagal practitioner has changed me. It wasn't necessarily a trick, but it was a curveball that was thrown at me. I was not expecting to have as many breakthroughs, honestly, as I have. I wasn't expecting my vision to get better. I wasn't expecting any of this. Even in the work I do, I stay very, very skeptical. And I think that it might help me a little bit to stay skeptical. I'm very open minded, but I stay skeptical because I want to make sure that I am coming through as genuine and authentic as possible. And I want to make sure that I've seen ego get in the way of people when they start to expect things. Oh, I've always been right, so I'm always going to be right. Absolutely not. Mm-mm. No, I can be wrong, and I will always say that. I have this feeling, but I could be wrong. And it's not me diminishing the fact that I've been right in the past. It's me saying, yes, I'm human and I have error. I have flaws. And that's okay. Don't take everything that I say for take it as, what is that? I'm having problems with my words today. So I apologize for that. My brain has just been everywhere and I'm recovering from a migraine. Not that you guys really needed to know that. But here we are. Um anyway, I'm a human and I can be flawed. And what might be my truth might not be somebody else's truth, because even if I can see it for them, it doesn't mean that that is what they are going to choose. So going back to the tricks and treats, I've had what would seem tricks in my life become amazing treats because I was able to alchemize, I was able to have breakthroughs and see the good in what was happening. Where in your life have you had what was seemingly a trick turn into a treat because you were able to alchemize it? And the last thing I kind of want to talk about, obviously, Halloween wouldn't be Halloween without a haunted house, is us, our bodies as a haunted house. And all I can think about is the song Baby You're a Haunted House. um, we can be haunted houses. We can haunt ourselves. We have these monsters inside of us, these demons, these this that. Anything that you can find within a haunted house. Ghost, obviously. These are our old belief systems, our old grief, our old pain and patterns that are no longer serving us, that linger within us. And until we're not ready to wipe away the cobwebs and clean up and organize, we will continue to stay haunted. And while that can be fun in some aspects, and others it's not, this song is fun. Alchemy isn't about avoiding the haunting. It's about walking through the haunted house, learning, and transforming what we find in there. And it's kind of like when we go to Halloween Horror Nights here in Florida. I walk through those haunted houses and I used to think that I was going to be scared of them. But every time I go into them, I'm not. I'm not scared. And some of the scare actors get upset. And if you're a scare actor and you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. Especially with Halloween Horror Nights, I look at the beauty that's within the house. Even the costumes, the masks, everything that is macabre, it's all so beautiful to me. I see the monsters for what they are. The detail within these houses is just amazing and beautiful. And people put so much work into all of this. And while we can put a lot of work, and we do, into us being a haunted house, maybe we can clean up a little bit and we can become the Addams Family house. While it might have some weird stuff in it, while it might have a couple of cobwebs, and while it might be haunted, there's still so much love within that household. And there's still a sense of aliveness, even with all the death around them. You know what I mean? So we can thrive and we can transform. And I think that's all I have for you today. I know this is a really long one, and hopefully I can put it together okay. And I know my brain was everywhere, and I apologize for that. But Halloween reminds us that shadows can be playful, and that not everything is scary. And sometimes even the scariest houses that seem haunted have a lot of love in them. Halloween can teach us a lot about who we are if we're willing to look at it from an alchemical perspective. Tricks and treats are essential for transformation. And shadow work doesn't have to be heavy. Sometimes it is spooky, magical, even fun. And then it's about play, letting yourself play in the shadows. And I'm going to ask you, what ghost, skeleton, monster, graveyard, any of the ones that I have mentioned, what's showing up for you right now? And what trick might actually be a treat? I want to thank you for being here. Especially this one. It's so long. But I had so much I wanted to cover, and I thought it was a really fun topic. Thank you again for being here. I don't take your time lightly. I don't take you being here lightly. Time is a precious resource that we cannot get back. And as always, I want to remind you, you are not broken. In a world where we are told we are broken, we are divided, we are disconnected, and that all the power is without. I want to remind you that you are not broken. We are not divided. We are sovereign, and everything you need is within you. Connection to others is important. And you're not alone. And if you're here, you're an alchemist. And I want to remind you to keep going, no matter what. I hope you guys have a great day. And until next time, keep creating alchemy. This is Inspired Perpetual Alchemy.